Of the overtime, the Lumberjacks have added quite a talent pool to their football team. We look at some of the key players taken in last week's signing day, and the battle between Flag and Cocoa finished this previous weekend. We take a look at those results. The NAU men's basketball squad is still in the hunt to get into the Big Sky tourney and possibly host it here in Flagstaff. And our final topic, we will look at the high school playoff here in Flagstaff. All that and more coming up here on the overtime. Thank you for joining us and welcome to this edition of The Overtime, Northern Arizona's only sports show. I'm your host, the handsome man, David Omata. We have a packed show for you tonight with a lot of local sports action. And joining me is sports reporter JD Dyer. How are you doing there, JD?
I'm doing great, David. How about yourself?
Doing all right. Well, let's go ahead and get into our show tonight. Last Wednesday, the Lumberjacks brought in a plethora of talented high school players to their football program and dominated the Tucson area with their recruiting pool. JD, which of this year's crop do you think is the most impressive?
Well, firstly, we have the freshman quarterback, Cole Norris, who competed at Newport Harbor High School and holds the record for the all-time passing yards, most completions in a single game, and most touchdowns at his high school. It's Cole's great combination of arm strength, accuracy, and a really quick release that makes him a really effective offensive leader. Another notable figure to watch is the junior wide receiver, Kendyl Taylor, who is a mid-year transfer from the University of Washington. During his stint there, he caught 32 passes for 256 yards and rushed for only 211 yards on 37 carries. Football is something that is embedded within the Taylor family, as his brother, Kerry, played football at in-state rivals Arizona State and also spent some time in the NFL, whilst his uncle John Taylor being a two-time Pro Bowl wide receiver and a three-time Super Bowl champion with the San Francisco 49ers. Hopefully, Kendyl can provide some important firepower for the Jacks.
Well, JD, you bring up good points, and I like the overall package that the Jacks got this year. Like I mentioned, they control the Tucson area, and one player that I am excited to see here is defensive lineman Jalen Goss. Watching his highlight tape, which is available on NAUathletics.com, I saw that he has a terrific interior defensive lineman ability. He extends his arm well, lowers the shoulder to use his rip move effectively, and he had to chase down speed on screens and option handoffs from the backside. I look to see him to provide a lot of pressure for the Jacks, who struggled on passing downs quite often last season. And moving on from the football field to the hardwood, we recently had what I like to call the Peaks de Resistance, JD, here in Flagstaff, with the battle between Flag High and Coconino High Schools doing their final meeting of the year pending sectionals. What did you see from this game's last weekend?
Well, for the boys, they led for the entire duration of the game, during their 50-42 victory over Coconino. Even though the Panthers were always in touching distance, there was an element of control shown by the Eagles in this victory, especially with the incredible play shown by Caleb Sandoval, with his perfect free throw shooting that prevented any comeback efforts of the Panthers. Sandoval hit all 10 of his free throws in the final 2 minutes and 14 seconds as Coconino fouled to extend the game. Individually, he scored 12 of his team's 16 points in the fourth quarter. Now that is clutch. That win for the boys sealed the regular season section title for the Eagles and give them the luxury of a bye in the first round of the Division II Section 1 tournament.
Well, the girls' game, JD, was not as high scoring as the boys, but it did have its own little version of nerves. The Coconino defense was absolutely choking the Eagles' offense all night long. And the Lady Eagles have quite the aim from beyond the arc this year, but managed to only land one shot from 17 that they shot beyond the arc. Even with the Eagles' tough climb, the Eagles were able to go ahead and sweep the Panthers with a 36-31 victory. The Panthers will look to try and meet back up with Flag High, and they could get their #1 scorer, J.J. Nakaya, back with that meeting as well. And here at the Sky Dome, the Lumberjack men's squad have been quite impressive over the last few weeks. With the schedule they have remaining, do you think they have a chance potentially, JD, to host the Big Sky tournament here?
The Jacks know that they will need to continue their good run of form into the critical point of the season, especially with big games coming up against playoff rivals such as Northern Colorado, playoff Portland State, and Eastern Washington. That will surely decide their playoff ambitions. But an honourable mention must go forward to the recent performances of senior guard Quinton Upshare for his dominating 31 points and 8 rebounds in the victory over Northern Colorado. And also sophomore guard Chris Yanku's excellent 24 points and 9 assists in their home blowout over North Dakota. These kind of performances will be a necessity in their build-up to the crunch time of the season.
Well, the old saying is you never count the chickens before they hatch, and we all know that that's applicable to the current situation. Tomorrow, the team travels to Weber State, and that game has to sit very deeply in the minds of the Jacks as motivation for them, as they lost to the Wildcats in the Big Sky home opener earlier this year by 11 points. While this Weber State team should not be confused with the conference champions from last year, Coach Murphy knows that this game is a big proving ground for the Jacks squad. And finally, here we take a look at the high school playoff picture for the city of Flagstaff, JD, at high school. Now, you have to ask about the Flagstaff Eagles, and they're going to get that first round bye in the sectionals. How far do you think that both the men and women can go in these playoffs here, JD?
Well, the Eagles really look to attack through their skill sets of Monica Ware and Kira Butler, who both have the ability to make significant contributions on the court. Not to mention the skillful ability and major threat that Shea Toei poses to any defense in the tournament. And for the boys, well, their team will certainly make use of the extra day's rest that they will gain. The Eagles went into their final regular season game ranked 9th as they faced off against Coconino. Much of that had to do with their coach, James Kirk, putting them in great positions on each and every set play. Now, please don't think that Caleb Sandevil's performance in their last game against Coco was a fluke. He's an almost automatic at the free throw line, and they will look for him to seal the deal if the game gets that close this Saturday.
Well, while the Eagles' journey will be a big topic for the city, I think we also need to take a look at the MPA boys squad. They did have an impressive 4-game winning streak going into the final game of their season, but they did drop that against the Fountain Hills Falcons, and now they find themselves sitting on the perpetual playoff fence. The Spartans hope that the only teams that get into the postseason are the ones that ranked above them in order to get bids into the postseason tournament. Well, JD, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you later on in the show. Hope to see you here.
Sounds good, David. I'll see you in a bit.
All right, coming up after the break, we have our reporter, Cody Cameron, sitting down with NEU Ice Jack Ben Russell. Stay tuned, folks. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have an interview with Ice Jack forward Ben Russell by our own reporter, Cody Cameron, about their season heading into the playoffs.
Thanks, David. Joining me in the studio today is Ice Jack's senior forward, Ben Russell. Ben, you're having a career year, 47 points, and you lead the team in assists with 32. Ben, welcome to the set.
Thanks, Cody. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, let's get started. Ben, you guys are dominating on the ice all season, heading into the final with the record 22-8. What has led to your guys' team success?
Well, you know, just from the start of the season, just working hard in practice, doing the little things, you know, showing up for every game despite, you know, who our opponent is, and, you know, not taking anything for granted, just having a good time.
Nice. Now let's talk about the past weekend. You guys won your 3rd consecutive West Coast Hockey Conference title with a 6-2 victory over Cal State Fullerton. How big of an accomplishment is that for you and your teammates, Ben?
Well, that's 3rd year running now, so you know we've shown up 3 years in a row and won the conference championship, and you know it's a good time, just you know showing up for every single game and working hard, and it was a good week, and all the guys showed up, you know, despite a little bit of sicknesses on the roster. But other than that, it was great, and moving on from here, though.
Now, this weekend, you guys finish off the season with ASU. Now, this has not only been a great in-state rivalry over the years, but it has also determined the first seed in the regionals. How big of a series is this for you guys?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, ASU's always, you know, always a rivalry. Don't tend to like each other too much on the ice, you know. But, you know, it's also real exciting. The J Live will be packed as normal against ASU, and it's a fun environment for the players and fans. And so, you know, looking forward to it from all aspects, and hopefully we can get a big win here and go into the end of the season.
Now, it is senior night. Is that correct, Ben?
It is.
Awesome.
Looking forward to that as well. We got quite a big senior class, so a lot of names to be going through, so it'll be nice.
Now, like I said previously, as a team, you guys are playing with so much chemistry on the ice. And as a fan, it's so fun to watch you guys out there. Now, I'm going to single out a few Ice Jacks, Ben. Senior Greg Parks, Junior Kirby Carlson, and yourself. All you guys are putting up career numbers out there. What factors have led to such an outstanding year?
Well, you know, still, you know, playing as a team, working hard from the start. You know, just put in the little effort here and there, and you know, not trying to be, you know, single one another out on the ice, but kind of playing as a team and working the puck, moving it to your guys, and you know, trusting that they're going to give the puck right back, and you know, start putting in some goals and assists and what have you. So it's just the little things and the hard work, dedication, that kind of thing. So.
Very cool. Now, I mean, you've seen Greg Parks just develop as a player as well, and the chemistry with you guys. I mean, Greg's leading the team with 52 points right now. Have you seen the chemistry just increase since your 2 years here?
Yeah, I mean, Greg's a good guy, you know, on and off the ice, and you know, a lot of guys look up to him, and you know, I'd say chemistry's definitely building there. He's not a line mate, but he works well with the other guys, and you know, he just got a knack for finding the back of the net. So.
Now, with such a competitive group, postseason in a couple of weeks, what is the ultimate goal for this team, Ben?
Well, obviously, it's going to be a national championship. Super pumped to get in the Nationals, the postseason, and see how far we can go. You know, it's always been a goal in the past, I'd say, but you know, this year everyone's definitely got their eyes set high here, and hopefully we make it happen this year. So I'm going to give it our best shot.
Very cool. Now, people, game tonight, 8:30 at the J. Lively Center here in Flagstaff. Senior night against ASU. It doesn't get any better than that. Ben, thank you so much for joining me in the studio. It's always good to talk to you.
Hey, I appreciate it, Cody. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks to Ben Russell and Cody Cameron for that interview, and best of luck with the rest of the season in the postseason. Now, Kelsey, what all do you have showing up at 7,000 feet this week in sports?
Well, David, we have a very exciting weekend coming up, and I'll tell you more after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the OT. I'm Kelsey Matoxin, and here's what we have this weekend in Flagstaff. We start with the state wrestling championships going, where Flagstaff, Coconino, and NPA will be battling for the title of state champion. They will be wrestling at the Prescott Valley Event Center this Friday and Saturday, so be sure to go out and cheer on the young athletes. NAU's track and field will host the NAU Invitational in Skydome this Saturday and try to bring themselves further up the rankings a bit nationally. NAU's basketball will host Weber State at 2 p.m. at the Roll Activity Center for a Valentine's Day matchup. Make sure to bring a date if you have one. And finally, the Flagstaff High School girls basketball team will play their sectional playoff game at Sonawa Middle School at 5:15. The boys game will follow at 7 p.m. also at Sonawa. Well, that's all we have got. That's all we got this week, so make sure to come and support your local sports.
Thanks, Kelsey. Now, JD, what exactly will you be doing once you go ahead and go out to this weekend and all the sporting events and stuff like that?
Well, David, there's a lot of sporting events that's going on this weekend. If I had to pick one that I would go to...
Well, we'll go ahead and see you next week here, folks.